morning, everyone! On this blessed morning, my son is making yet another serving tray. I know, it sounds repetitive to you guys, but for kids, skills do need to be polished by repetition in order to achieve mastery. And as for me, it is good practice for video making and picture taking. He starts it off by cutting an 18-inch piece of cherry off of the slab we got from Mitre Sawmill, and then he cut the cracked end off to make sure that the piece is free of any flaws. Following that, it is a long process of preparing the wood piece itself. Both my son and I are not fan of having bark visible on the wood. Not to mention, all the wood we get is air dried instead of kiln dried, so if there is a worm living on the bark, it would be alive and well. We could get our wood kiln dried and kill everything inside, but kiln dried wood simply lacks the color and liveliness that's present in air dried wood. If I were to put two finished pieces from the exact same piece of wood, one air dried and one kiln dried, you would probably be able to instantly tell the differences between the two. Kiln dried one will appear more muted and uniform in color compared to its air dried version. Anyway, once bark is chiseled away, my son uses sander with 60 grit sandpaper to remove the inner bark. Inner bark can be kept on, but we wanted to go for a more cleaner look. Now that the sides are cleaned up and good, it is time to clean up top and bottom. My son passed it through the planer a few times until both sides were perfectly uniform and straight. Not to mention, this step saves a lot of sanding one might have to do to remove imperfections later. That's when we started noticing very weird black dots and lines on the cherry. No idea what they were, but they do look pretty cool. If anyone watching this knows, please do tell me. And thank you very much for actually watching, I really appreciate it. Once wood was ready, my son started sanding it again, but this time it was to make it nice and smooth. He first started off at 80 grit to round the sharper corners a little bit and make them more pleasant to hold. Then slowly with each pass he climbed all the way up to 800 grit. I do fully acknowledge and understand that it is not necessary to go up to 800 grit. I know a lot of people stop at 220 or the highest they ever go to is 320. But as for us, well, let's just say we do enjoy the sanding process, and wood sanded to at least 800 grit is much more pleasant to hold in one's hands compared to its 220 grit counterpart. If you live in Greater Toronto area, I would be happy to show off what I mean. Just let me know. Now it was time to prepare the piece and put finishing touches to it. First of all, my son applied oil to it. We use salmon oil for this since it is food safe, smells amazing, and doesn't mess with wood's natural colors too much, and it does work at 800 grit, and it is Canadian. There was a total of 3 coats applied per side, and with each application, the piece kept turning darker and darker. Oxidation on a piece of cherry is a beautiful thing to watch. Once the piece had its fill to drink, it was time to wax it. My son applied 2 coats of wax per side and made sure to move the buffing pad at high speed very slowly over the surface to ensure that the wax melts from the friction and perfectly bonds with the surface of the wood, giving it a nice sheen. And that's it, the piece was ready. This one did have these beautiful black spots on it. No idea why, and I am curious to know if any of you guys know. It was a great practice for my son, and I told him to make sure to keep his face off of camera so I had easier time to edit it. But overall, I did have fun editing this video. If you enjoyed this as much as we did, please consider leaving a like and maybe subscribing. I try to release a video every week. If you do have any questions or comments, those are very welcome too. I promise I'll reply back. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye bye!